stand on any street corner in Center City. It all makes sense. East-west streets with names like Spruce, Locust, Chestnut, and Market. North-south streets numbered from first, actually front. Symmetrical, orderly, walkable, and it didn't just happen. In 1682, Pennsylvania founder William Penn and his surveyor, Thomas Holme, laid out a plan for a new city in a new world. A map was produced and circulated throughout Europe to advertise land ownership opportunities in Pennsylvania's capital city, Philadelphia. A brief account of the province of Pennsylvania in America, as Penn titled it, described the land, how it could be made profitable for farmers and day laborers, and for younger sons with no inheritance. It described Penn's plan for its governance and how to buy property. Interestingly, it made no mention of religious practice. That map is the famous grid we walk and drive today. But like most plans, it went through many changes. Penn envisioned a Quaker utopia, but he also wanted to turn the huge debt the British monarch owed his father, Admiral William Penn, into cash. Holmes' plan needed to allocate large tracts to Penn and his family. On the northern edge of the city, a strip of land from the Delaware to the Schuylkill 1,000 feet wide was reserved. Springettsbury Manor was named for Penn's then-wife, Julielma Springett. Penn and Holmes set 5 squares, one in each quadrant of the city. The central square to be the town center with public buildings. For a long time, the squares served as burial grounds. Development and population huddled close to the Delaware River ports, where the money and action was. Penn had hoped for westward growth close to the Schuylkill, but little business was generated. Settlers took to naming streets after themselves, but Penn believed this egoism did not fit in with his Quaker city, so he changed those names to trees common to the colony. William Penn invested heavily in his colony, but Penn's investments did not yield the hoped-for returns. He spent time in debtor's prison. The purpose of the orderly grid was to avoid the dark alleys ridden with vice and crime that were so prevalent in chaotic European cities like Paris and London. As Philadelphia's population grew and diversified, settlers disobeyed the grid's structure out of necessity and defiance, and carved out alleys of their own. Penn's dream for a clean, safe city, unique in its planning, was on the brink of failure. But ultimately, the city not only grew, but flourished, with the grid patterns surviving despite the many phases of development. This grid that dominates Philadelphia today would later be adopted in other cities like New York, Washington, D.C., and in western cities like Salt Lake and Oklahoma City. Urban planning, a tradition established by William Penn and Thomas Holme, continued with the 19th century plan for Fairmount Park, the design of the Benjamin Franklin Parkway a century ago, the preservation of Independence Hall, and the urban renewal of Society Hill. That grid and the planning which produced it remain among William Penn's lasting legacies.